You know, I seem to recall some stupid twit saying something like, the choice of wacky action Raphael's head showed some thought. I never want to see this head on a bootleg again! I have not seen a single turtle from this particular bootleg line without a different head sculpt than Wacky Action Raphael. So this particular TMNT bootleg line is named Tus Heroes en Acción Tortugas Guerreros, which I'm told is not very good Spanish and comes out to Your Heroes in Action Turtles Warriors. So these guys are from Mexico, and like I said in the Power Rangers Turbo Galaxy video, baggies are the typical packaging we'll see for Mexican bootlegs. So at first glance, the turtles on the cardboard flap for the baggie look pretty decent, but then you really start to look at them and you wonder what the hell's going on here. First we got googly-eyed Raphael, who's just staring above the turtles' heads, or at absolutely nothing with his eyes like that. And also, the middle part of his thigh is so huge it might as well be a sword. Then the other three guys are just really interested in this red dot over here, or they're just trying to avoid eye contact with this crazy fuck. And I'm not quite sure why the turtles are hanging out in pink polka dot land, but I'm trying to decide if this is a pizza floating in the sky. Or maybe there's no gravity in pink polka dot land. And if this is a pizza, is this one whose mold's been allowed to grow mold? And last nitpick about the cardboard flap, but why is only one of Raphael's legs able to go past part of the logo and all the other turtles are just non-existent past there? Your heroes in action, who have been conveniently cut in half with one leg googly eye Raphael! Cowabunga! So the first Mexican bootlegs I did on the show were kind of misleading, as this is far more typical of what you'll find in a Mexican bootleg. As I mentioned, they're usually in baggies, and the plastic is so cheap it's cracked in a few places. And once again, just damn you, Wacky Action Raphael head sculpt! This stupid grin has haunted my nightmares, and now the nightmare becomes reality! And you know how I mentioned there is a crayon-y smell off the Dinosaur Invincibility guy? Well, these guys are actually made from a waxy plastic, and they really smell like you're using crayons. In fact, they are going to make your hands smell like crayon. So let's try this out and see exactly how crayon-y they are. They are crayons! Alright, that's an exaggeration. They don't actually mark that well, but they will leave behind a residue on the paper. And as you can see, the waxy plastic really was being worn down just by being scraped against the paper. So yeah, there's absolutely no changes on the molds with any of these guys, just different colored bands. Also, these turtles come in a few different belt colors, which seems to always match the color of the weapons they come with. From what I've seen, the yellow ones seem to be the most common. But there are also orange and purple ones, which I don't have one of. Now, there are also ones that come with pink weapons, but I have not seen any of those ones come with a belt. And no, it doesn't seem that he's just missing his belt. It seems he comes this way, as the ones I've seen with this weapon color in the package haven't had a belt either. And all the turtles in this line seem to originally come with a single sai and one of those gardening trowel-like weapons a lot of the original Turtles figures came with. Though of course, where those were cast in brown plastic with the original figures, on these guys, they come in nice and bright semi-translucent colors. And I'm not sure why, but this seems to be the case for a lot of Mexican bootlegs. Guess they just really like semi-translucent bright-colored weapons, or they had a lot of that plastic around to use up. And all these guys' belts are based on Leonardo's, meaning they don't actually have a proper weapon to go in there, though I guess you could stick one of the sai in. But that actually wouldn't be a good idea, because that's pretty much where you need to stick the belt straps. You see, on the actual turtles, the material for the belts is a nice soft and flexible plastic. Where on these guys, it's a material without nearly as much give, and it barely even wants to reach where the holes are supposed to be. And even if you get the strap down to where it's supposed to be, you're still gonna have a bitch of a time trying to get it in there because they've done something really strange here. They've reversed which piece has the peg and which piece has the hole. Meaning if you even want to try to get this in where it's supposed to be, you're trying to push it under the belt, which again doesn't have as much give. And after trying this for a while, I don't even think it's possible to get it in there. But if you want, you can wedge both the straps under the belt, and that way you can store one of the size like Leo's swords. Should you really want to do that? Also, this strange reversing of where the peg and where the hole is present on front of the belt as well. And since these are all Leo belts, they do have an L on them. They're just hidden when they're fastened and almost obscured anyway from the peg. I don't even get how the bootleggers managed this one, and it would take more effort than straight up copying the belt. Also, this material is so bad for these belts and non-flexible, it will actually break the buckle sometimes, it seems, just so it can pull itself apart. It even did it in the back of this guy, just where the straps are sitting where the swords are supposed to be. Alright, now let's go over who we've got in this line. First, Raphael, for the most part. And then Michelangelo, I guess, or Raphael too, seeing as he's got a red headband, but then he's got orange knee and armbands. Also, the mismatching color version Micah Rapolo apparently has pink eye. And then, of course, you remembered the yellow turtle. I guess I'll call him Kirby the Fifth Turtle. Pretty sure that's mostly what they had in mind for him. Oh, and then this is, Orange Belt Edition Kirby. Or no, he's Orange Bee the Sixth Turtle. And then, of course, we got Donatello. No, that's pink. Not sure who the pink turtle would really be. Maybe it's, Vernon? The Rat King has done it again. I've captured the most powerful person in the universe. Oh, what are you going to do to me? Again? Oh, I've got an ingenious plan. With this mutagen, I'll turn you into a rat. Oh, but you've already done that before. Shut up, Vernon. Oh! It's working. He's mutating. But the last animal I was in contact with wasn't a rat. What? Oh! Oh no! Now I'm one of those disgusting turtles. Guess I'll have to make it work. I'm clearly out of my league on this. I guess I'll just stick to what I know. Stealing the turtle's pizza. Alright, what a story. I'm gonna scoop April on this. Hey boss, I managed to finally scoop April, but I got turned into a turtle. Vernon, you idiot! It's also interesting that the turtles in this Mexican bootleg line have almost the same body as the good Mexican turtle bootlegs. They are, however, missing more articulation. They have no head articulation, and while these guys had at least one wrist that moved, no, of course these guys don't have either wrist move, but their arms are loose, so you can kind of get a sideways movement with them. And of course, no leg articulation, and they don't have the waist articulation like these guys did. I wish I knew for certain which ones came first, because it seems to me like these guys are probably bootlegs of bootlegs. It is always possible that someone took the bootleg mold and made a better bootleg from it, so these guys are the bootlegs of the bootlegs. Not likely, but it's possible. Or maybe the same bootleggers started off with their decent bootleg and then got lazy and cheaper over time, or they originally made this piece of crap and then decided to make something worth a damn. But enough about those stupid turtles. Let's get on to the first Krang bootleg. Packaging for Krang seems to vary, as I've seen him just come in straight up a plastic bag only, and I've also actually seen him come in the baggie with the Tos Heroes on Action Tortugas Guerreros thingy. So I don't know if you've noticed, but they took a few liberties with the colors on the Bubble Walker. And believe it or not, there's yet another variant in this line, a red one. And unlike the turtles and their belts in this line, only sometimes does Krang's weapon match his Bubble Walker. So the bubble on the Bubble Walker, of course, opens up for Krang. And on the bootleg, it usually just pops off. Also, the right legs on all the Krang bootlegs I have seem to just naturally kind of want to bend in. And here's a nifty feature you only get with your Krang bootleg. A leg that controls his arm movement. Ooh. Yeah, look at this official piece of crap. His arm isn't so close to the leg joint that it moves. Garbage. Also, the arms on the official Krang toy are just attachments you can put on or take off. Where on the bootleg, they come attached to them and you can pop them off, it doesn't seem like they meant for you to. Also, the bootleg Krang's tentacles have no articulation to them. Where, of course, on the official Krang, he did have tentacle articulation. And because of his one bent-in leg, he likes to fall over. Also, on the official Krang, his gun was cupped in so it can kind of go over a turtle's head as it's supposed to be like a brain drain thing. Whereas on the bootlegs, they're all flat. Some other articulation differences on the Krang figure are it's missing a knee joint articulation, and the legs move differently as this is just a normal peg joint, whereas these ones have one of those clicky joints. But I think my absolute favorite part of these Krang figures is that paint job. Nailed it! And by that I of course mean, were they trying? Like, at all? No, of course they weren't. You know, it's pretty damn impressive when you can get eye paint on the top of his head. His eye paint is so off, they begin to look like clowns. Now, no surprise, you can easily fit the bootleg Krang inside the real Krang's Bubble Walker, but the real Krang gets really snug inside the bootleg's walker. And when trying to stick these bubbles back on since they fall off so much, the tabs might break off. What a shock. When you look at them side by side and realize how much smaller the bootleg is to the real Krang, it makes it pretty obvious that they just recast the real Krang to make their bootleg. Barrel of Krangs!
Look at that pile of turtles over there. Oh, that is disgusting.
Now this is just kind of an odd difference between some of my Krang bootlegs here. Now the original Krang, he's got a hole in the bottom, and so does one of my Krang bootlegs, but then the other two are solid on the bottom. If they'd all been done one way or the other, I'd get it more. It just seems strange to me that some were done this way and then some like that. These bootleg Krangs, though, with their multicolored walkers, kind of remind me of the clones Krang made of himself one time. Though with how these guys look, maybe it's more like if Bebop and Rocksteady spilled some Coca-Cola in there while he was making them.
I don't really know what I'm doing in here. Oh no! My android body! Bootleg Krang, you idiot! I like your style, Krang. We're kind of kindred spirits, you and me. Oh, I could definitely agree with that if it weren't for the toilet paper stuck to your foot. Oh!
The paint job on these is just atrocious, and I love that sometimes Krang's eyes turn into a visor, or his eyes on top of his head, sorta. The turtles all having that same damn head is remarkably lazy, but since it's all part of the torso, it makes it easy! Everything about these things make are sloppy, and they have material so rigid for the belts, they'd pretty much rather snap than hold together. They reek of crayon and make your hands feel and smell like you've been holding one as well. They get 1 point just for... I don't really know. I'm gonna assume here that the better bootlegs came out first, not that it matters all that much. It's the same mold for every turtle in the damn line and the multicolored Krang walkers. The only other figure I've seen to exist in this line is a dipped in acid Bebop. The colors are just all over the place, to mismatching turtles, to pink eyes, to pink bands, to unknown yellow guys, and strange semi-translucent weapons. But I assume that's just because of what plastic they had around rather than being creative. Zero. Yeah, they're weird, I can give them that. From Kirby to Micah Orangeby to Raffaelangelo to Vernatello and Krangs, who had even discussed Krang. So it mostly comes from sloppiness, but hey, that's all these guys can get. 7. It's the usual Mexican baggy style with cheap plastic that's so brittle it'll crack. Your Heroes in Action Turtles Warriors is a decent silly sounding name though, and I like the doofy Raph that everyone else is trying to pretend doesn't exist. 6. Oh, absolutely not. Any kid getting these probably cried, couldn't you at least get me the better cheap ripoffs? They barely know what Ninja Turtles they are, only come with a sai and trowel, and only have arm articulation. The Krangs brighten things up a bit though, as in they are extremely neon pink, but that's only if you don't have their murky bubble in front of them. These get a 2 for being at least in the right shape, sorta. And the Bootleg Zones overall is 5. Elevated some because I find the Krang bootlegs in this line neat, even though it's for craftsmanship, and I'm glad I finally got a figure for Kirby, the 5th Turtle!
Krang, what do you think you're doing? You get out of my android body at once! But I've got a brilliant plan, Krang! We'll make the turtles fall in love! Oh, screw this.
Hi, April, it's me! Vernon! You're disgusting, I know. I was actually gonna say you look a bit better than usual. Damn you, April!
Alright, you Krang have screwed with the wrong turtle.
Who are you?
I'm Kirby, the 5th Turtle.
And what are you going to do?
I don't know. I have no defined character traits.
Oh, well, isn't that
Any kind of deck? Yeah, it is.